Hey everyone, this is Dylan, and today I'm going to do a movie review for you guys. So the movie I'm reviewing today is the Mortuary collection. So the Mortuary collection was released on September 22nd, 2019 at Fantastic Fest. It was not released to the general public until Shudder released it recently. It was directed by Ryan Spindell, and it stars Clancy Brown as Montgomery Dark, Caitlin Custer as Sam, and Jacob Elordi as Jake. Alright, so let's get into what this movie is about. So it is an anthology movie. There are 5 different segments, including the wraparound, which comes up briefly after each segment has ended. And so I'll give a brief little description of each of the segments. So the wraparound is basically the storytelling device for each of these segments. And they don't have names, they're just named segments. And so basically it is this girl who is going to a funeral home and she wants a job, and basically we have the funeral home director Montgomery Dark, and he is decides that he's going to tell her a bunch of like creepy stories as part of like the interview process or something. I don't know, it's a little unclear. But that's how we get each of our segments. And so we have segment 1, which I believe is the shortest segment in here, and it's basically kind of Lovecraftian horror. And we have this woman who is she's at a party, and she goes into the bathroom, and she is like, you can tell she has done this once or twice, but she has taken a bunch of wallets and she's taken the money out of them and then throwing them in the trash. And then she finds a cabinet, like the medicine cabinet, over the sink is locked, and she's like, I wonder what's behind there. And that's where I'm going to leave that one at. Then we have the segment number 2, which takes place on a college campus, revolves around a fraternity and one specific guy, Jake, and he meets this girl and they are like, oh, let's have sex. And so they're having sex, and they have sex all night long, and then Jake wakes up and things are kind of weird in his downstairs area. And so we find out that there's something happening inside of his body that should not happen inside of a male body. And so that's pretty interesting in and of itself, so I'm going to leave that there. Then we have segment 3, which revolves around a man and his wife, but his wife she has some sort of disorder or disease that has caused her to be basically catatonic. He's the caregiver for her. It's been a long time, and basically he doesn't believe that she is like aware that he is there anymore and that she's completely gone. So he kind of convinces the doctor brings it up that the doctor could prescribe a medication or give him a medication that will basically be untraceable, and if you take more than like 2 or 3 of the tablets, then you will overdose and die, but it's untraceable. So that's where I'm going to leave that one at. Then we have our last segment, which is called, this one is the only one that has like an actual name, and it's called The Babysitter Murders, which is actually, so I don't know officially, apparently it's based off of a short film that the director Ryan Spindell did, but I don't know if this segment is actually the short film that he did, or if it's kind of like, because there's a movie playing on the television in this, and it kind of cuts back and forth between the movie and the actual story, and I'm almost wondering if the movie isn't the one that he actually did as the short story, because this movie, when I was first watching it, we start off with this movie, and then because we don't realize that it's a movie until the camera pans back and there's a television there, and I was like, oh, this is definitely kind of stands out quite a bit in this segment, but it ended up just being on the television. But this is a story that we've definitely seen before, and it's definitely pretty interesting. I don't know if there's any kind of like real issues with it, like any kind of thing that differentiates it, but it is definitely something that we've seen before, so there's that. But now that we've talked about what each of the segments is about, let's talk about what I liked and didn't like about this. So the number one thing that I liked about this was the body horror in this each of the segments, which most of them didn't really have a ton of body horror, but definitely the second segment revolving around the college student that is having sex. That was like the most horrific in body horror, especially if you are identify as a male. I think that it's quite difficult to watch, but it is definitely the most interesting. I really like the look and feel of this movie. It had a very like polished look, but it was very stylized, and also it was definitely a vintage piece. I want to say like maybe like the 70s is kind of like the area, and I just kind of like that aesthetic and the aesthetic of this movie. And overall, I really liked that each of these stories was engaging. There wasn't really any duds in this. Usually when you have a anthology, you can tell that some of them are just weaker than the others, but I really felt engaged in each of these stories, and I definitely liked this overall. And let's talk about what I did not like. So, it's one of the things that I didn't like, which is mostly the only thing that I didn't like, was that it kind of felt like segments of the Creepshow television show that's on Shudder. And there's a lot of very similar things in this movie to, like in the third segment with the sick woman who's catatonic, there's a episode of Creepshow that is very similar to this one, and it's just kind of like, it seems a little unoriginal, especially since they're on the exact same streaming service. So that was a little disappointing. But other than that, I really did enjoy this movie and would definitely recommend that you guys check it out. So now that we heard what I had to say, let's talk about what other people had to say about this movie. On Letterboxd as a 3.4 out of 5, and on IMDb as a 6.5 out of 10. So I really enjoyed this. I think I gave it a 4 out of 5 on Letterboxd. I thought that this was really good and would definitely recommend that you guys check it out. So that is it for this review. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys for watching, and remember, if you're not already subscribed and you'd like to be, please hit that subscribe button down below and give this video a like if you liked it. Thank you guys for watching and have a great day. Bye!